Hey coin collectors, and welcome to DC Coin World International Coin Channel. And today we're going to take a look at the 1969 United States year set for 1969. So of course in 1969 we had the small Lincoln penny, and this is the Denver Mint penny. You can see the D right there. We have had a small penny like this since 1909 with Lincoln on it. The United Kingdom in 1969 still had the large penny, and this of course is Queen Elizabeth II. This is the Mary Gillick first portrait of Queen Elizabeth II wearing the laureate wreath. And in 1969, they were almost done with these. They made these through 1970. They have Britannia on them. This is a 67. I'm not showing you 69 because they used them in 69, but they didn't make any in 69. They only made specialty versions of it. And there's Britannia facing out over the water with the lighthouse behind her. And the U.S. still had the penny. We still have the penny. It's still the small one. Canada's gone away from it. United Kingdom's gone to a small one. We had the nickel. Oh, how many pennies did they make? They made 5.7 billion pennies in 1969. We also had the nickel, and they made 322.8 million nickels in 1969. We had the quarter, and this is not a silver quarter. The silver quarters ended in 1964, but this is the Denver Mint, and this is actually a beautiful, rather expensive quarter. In terms of the quarters in 1969, they made 290.5 million of them. And then, of course, we had the half dollar, and this is silver. The United States had a Kennedy half dollar was silver throughout the 60s. 64 was 90% silver. 69 it was 40% silver, and 70 was the last year that they made the 40% silver. You can actually see it doesn't have the copper sandwich as much. Now 40% silver in a coin this big still isn't a huge amount of silver. It's about $3 worth of silver, and you see this film on the top, and the film on here is because it came out of a uncirculated mint set. In some of those uncirculated mint sets, the plastic falls apart sometimes on them. Well, they made 3 different dimes in 1969, and you can see them here. This one over here on the left is the Denver Mint dime, and it's just a pretty nice looking dime, but you see it's kind of smooth down here. Can you see that on the L? The top of the L is kind of smoothed off, top of the I. Down here in the In God We Trust, it's kind of faded. And then down here, the 1969, and right above the 1969 is a D. That's for the Denver Mint. And right below Roosevelt, and this is President Franklin Roosevelt facing to the left. Right below Roosevelt in the truncation of his neck is a J and an S, and that's for John Sinek, who was the engraver of the 1969 dime. Actually, he started, he engraved these back in 1946, and they kept this image on there through today. The 1969 dime can be worth some money if you have what they call a full strike on the back. I mean, the full bands on the back, and you get it up into a high mint state. What are the full bands? Well, you see how this goes down, this torch here has these 2 bands go across here, 2 bands go across here, and you should be able to see a separation between the bands when you tip them up. And you see down here we don't see any separation at all. In fact, we don't even see all the ones that go down. 1969, they had some old dies that they used, and they didn't do great on them. But one of the things that means is that they might have made some errors. So if you're looking for the 1969, look for the double die on the 1969. It has a what they call an RPM, and that's a repunched mint mark. So look right here and see if there's any doubling on the D. Then look for any doubling in the letters going around. If you find one of those will be expensive, but the regular ones generally aren't in great condition. Now this one is the Philadelphia one. In the Philadelphia one, you're not going to find a repunched mint mark because in Philadelphia we don't put mint marks, or didn't at that time, on the dimes. We tip it up on its edge, we can see it is a copper, nickel-clad copper, and of course we get to the back and we see that this one, you can't really see the bands either. And these coins have that film on them from the uncirculated mint set also, but these coins are uncirculated, so they haven't been used, so it hasn't worn off. This is exactly how it came from the mint, just worn, just a little worn. In 1969, they also made the San Francisco Mint dime, and we see one of them right here, and you can see that this is quite different polish on it. This is close to a cameo, though it's not a great cameo. and the cameo is how this kind of pops off the top. It just has almost like a different finish on the top, a different polish. And we see, if we look way down in there, we actually see it looks like doubling until you tip it up. And that's because the way that this shines so much, you can kind of, sometimes the letters kind of shine too. This says S here for the San Francisco Mint. But of course, the San Francisco Mint dimes were not regular circulating dimes. In 1969, the San Francisco Mint only made proof dimes. They made 2.9 million, and this one here is probably worth about $4 if you get it in a MS65. Again, a really shiny. What about the bands on this one? Well, they're pretty good. So when you get a San Francisco Mint or a proof coin, the bands are often going to be really good, but the value is just not going to be that high because they're proof coins and they're supposed to look good and supposed to have all the details.